Lions often roar to mark their territory. Lions are referred to as the king of the jungle because the male lion portrays a supreme attitude. It displays attributes of a powerful ruler, although its leadership is only of their territory. The king of the jungle's reign is at stake following increasing human population in Uganda that's encroaching on the protected lands for the primate's survival, a situation that's exacerbated by variations in climate change.
The increasing human interaction. When I talk of human interaction, in the recent years you've heard of poisoning of lions, you've heard of killing of lions, poaching.
The population is skyrocketing every day. Land is not expanding, and these animals are there. Livelihoods are not changing. So,
lions or cats generally are very, very, very seclusive animals. You don't easily come across them. They are very exclusive. They have a very, very difficult life because they eat meat, they don't eat grass. And to eat meat, they must hunt. And it is not easy to hunt. It's difficult. And in hunting, they don't need to be disturbed. And even when they go to breed, to produce the young ones, it's not easy for them to breed. They produce kids who don't have eyes. And then later they develop eyes.
There is a proposal for Uganda Wildlife Education Center to breed lions in Queen Elizabeth, Chidepo and Makshon Falls National Parks. The center plans to allocate 10 billion Uganda shillings in the 2024-2025 budget to start the breeding project.
UWEC, part of our functions are conservation education awareness, but also we have the component of breeding. At UWEC we have 15 lions, and these have been bred here. But then we also have researchers on board, like Uganda Wildlife Research Training Institute and other NGOs on board. So when we come together, then we shall bring our heads together and see who does what, when. Those who have carried out research, we have to benchmark on those who have carried out research, because elsewhere, people have done it.
It is part of the solution to boost the country's tourism sector, although other stakeholders have expressed mixed reactions.
It might become a white elephant project, because that is where my worry is. We've got to understand, we've got to do a feasibility study and make sure that what we are going to spend money on is going to work. Because if it doesn't work, we'll have wasted our resources, we'll have wasted the lions' time in terms of helping them to breed. And so we really need to do a feasibility and make sure that we think through. The other aspect is the behavior of the animals. An animal that is hand-bred behaves a bit differently than an animal that is wild-bred.
According to World Animal Protection, the question of breeding lions remains in balance, with a call on stakeholders to address the core issues threatening their majestic beings.
So, as World Animal Protection, we call upon Uganda Wildlife Education Center and of course these other supportive agencies, UWA, and the collaborating agencies, UWA and the overall the Ministry of Wildlife, Tourism and Antiquities, to rethink this proposal and really consider implementing conservation efforts that are directing to addressing the underlying causes of why the lions are declining in the first instance, before thinking of, I would say, directing resources perhaps into an initiative that might not be sustainable in the long term.
Setting up coexistence mechanisms with the populations living along the protected zones of the national game parks and reserves will address some of the underlying factors threatening the wild animals.
At the moment, there are efforts which are being spearheaded by some conservationists. They have formed an umbrella organization called Umoja. And this Umoja is saying, let the landowners also be given power to manage wildlife on their private land. And so they can benefit from this wildlife. This is an area that really needs particular attention.
Partly is lack of enforcement of the benefit sharing agreements. that's making it a bit on both sides. The communities are not being truthful sometimes in what they do, and the governance of these places are also not remitting. Sometimes what they say is due to the communities. So there's a bit of lack of transparency on both sides.
Uganda targets $5.2 billion from tourism annually, with the sector being Uganda's leading foreign exchange earner. Makerere University Economic Policy Research Center analyst Dr. Madina Mwagale Guloba calls for such interventions that will see Uganda attain the much-awaited Development Vision 2040.
So now, when we deliberately build the tourism sector, then you know deliberately you're going to the GDP, because GDP is essentially consumption. The biggest part of GDP is consumption. So when the consumption, everyone is eating every day, then you know GDP is going up. And if the sector driving it is tourism, then essentially tourism is going to be driving the GDP of this country.
The United Nations World Wildlife Day is celebrated annually on 3rd March to take stock of wild animals and plants. The Wildlife Day comes at a time when stakeholders are worried over the declining numbers of lions. Sudat Kaye and Douglas Setumba, UBC News.